Aloha everyone! So today's topic is going to be related to Mercury retrograde because, in order to move forward, we have to deal with what happened in the past. And there's so many people that are just walking around like in grown-up bodies with a child's mind because somewhere along in the past, we all went through trauma, or no matter what degree. It's like at the time with the emotional maturity of a child, you were a lot more sensitive and there are certain triggers that got pulled and you developed a coping mechanism in response to a situation in order to protect yourself. So I just wanted to share some tips that I learned just from my own experience of regressing my own childhood traumas, and also just integrating these lessons, because the whole part of healing is not that it happens overnight. Once you have awareness of certain things in your past, you're able to recognize it and then transmute it in that moment so you're not repeating the patterns, okay? So in order to retrieve these coping mechanisms that we developed as a child, these are actually in our subconscious. The thing about these coping mechanisms is that it's all happening super fast, automatically in the subconscious. So if you don't retrieve the memory of where it came from, then it's almost impossible for you to become consciously aware of it. So these are just tips that I wanted to share that I use to do my own healing, my own childhood healing, and it's so important that every so-called spiritual person needs to do, because I feel like the work is never done, and that's the whole point of this whole journey. It's learning lessons along the way and integrating those lessons and becoming whole within yourself in the present, and that involves the past. The mind does this thing where it wants to protect us, so it suppresses it, and the mind doesn't want to remember it. But the thing is, like, in order to heal, we have to override the mind and go back to our past, retrieve these memories, write it down, become aware of it, integrate it. So in order to integrate these lessons, you have to have the perspective that you have now as a grown-up, as an adult, and the child's feelings were valid, your younger self. You had to replace the old emotional pattern with the new, with what you know now, and coming from a rational point of understanding why everything was the way it was, right? And it's also important to take responsibility. Like, you chose your parents, I'm just gonna say. You chose, like, your blueprint. You even chose your name. There are just certain outcomes that you were looking at as a soul before you came in to decide if you wanted to incarnate at this time when the opportunity was there, and you did. So your higher self, your higher soul knew that it wanted to come in at this time. So that's the thing about sovereignty, is taking responsibility for everything that you've chosen up until this point. Everything in your reality right now is a choice that you made at some point that resulted in what it is, okay? I just wanted to share some tips that I actually have used on myself to do this healing work, the childhood traumas, and I've been on this about 4 years. I started about 4 years ago, and there's definitely a part where you have to allow yourself to feel emotions if it is a really, really like deeply seated emotional trauma. And that's what we call the dark night of the soul. I myself have had multiple of one of those. It's definitely not fun. It definitely requires a lot of alone time. So I thought this is a perfect video for Mercury retrograde. So what cued me to make this video is I noticed I have a lot of dreams that actually just random places, like karmic traces from my childhood, and just like a lot of random people from elementary school and like middle school would just pop up in my dreams. What I do is, like, I go through all the grades from like first grade or pre-K and kindergarten as early as you can remember, and write down your teachers' names, and write down like all the memories that you had that come to you when you think about like that time in your life, and who are your friends. Names and like certain memories that you have really help to like idealize it so you can see it as early as you think you can remember, because you'd be surprised, you actually remember a lot more than once you go into the memory. Meditating and then writing it down, like journaling and actually writing it and seeing it, really helps, because not only does it retrieve the memory, but it puts it there right in front of you, so it becomes there in your conscious mind. Once you start doing the work, random memories will just pop up to you, and they're just patterns that you develop over time from this part. And a lot of times these patterns can put a cap on your highest potential, because it was just a childhood coping mechanism. It can even like develop into allergies over time. Another tip that I have for healing just like the divine feminine energy in us is like go back to your past, your childhood, and write down all the motherly figures that you had in your life. Did you ever have an example of what a divine feminine was? Like, how can you learn to appreciate the earth and the divine feminine energy if you never really were shown that growing up? And then for the divine masculine healing, you want to look at your relationship with your father. You know, a lot of women have subconscious hate towards men because maybe their father left at a certain age, maybe that you never had a present father figure. Did you have mother figures in your life? Did you have father figures in your life? Like, a lot of people, they might have found it in other places. And what's key is that you can't put the blame on anybody as an adult, because that's your child acting out, okay? So you have to recognize when it's your child versus your highest self, the adult mind that you are in right now. So it's easy to like blame our parents for certain things, but you have to look from the perspective, like, look at your mom's parent. Look at your mom's mom. Did she know any better? She didn't. So they keep passing the trauma on because they didn't know any better. But you have the opportunity at this time to break these patterns and to ascend for your whole entire ancestral lineage, okay? Something that I came to recognize is that you are your mom. You are the continuation of your mom and your dad. Like, when they pass, it's your time to, you're the one who is chosen. The range of different situations for everyone is different, and the two main traumas is mother and then your father, and then also from school. Think about the whole school system, how messed up it is and what it does to children, okay? And I'm thinking about the children growing up right now during this time. It's even, they're traumatizing the children by making them having to wear these masks and think this shit is normal, because it's not. So, you know, this is like it's time to get out of the whole fucking system. It's time to, like, don't even think about what business shit you can do, because money is going to be over soon, and it's not. You just need to focus on healing the past so you can move forward into the new future, because the heart has to be lighter than a feather. And so many people are holding on to grief from the past, not even aware of it. How are you going to have a heart that is light enough to actually ascend? Because when it is like time to really see the truth, it's like you can't hide from yourself. So you really have to address the subconscious, which is the majority of yourself actually. So yeah, I just wanted to make this video today to share just tips I had. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, give it a thumbs up. If you have any other tips that you have used on yourself to regress your past, leave them in the comments and share, and subscribe for more content. Thanks for tuning in.